Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for our second live commentary stream of the night in the running of tonight's North Carolina Education Lottery 200 at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. En route for what is going to be the 11th race of the Craftsman Truck Series season. Only 8 races to go already until the Truck Series playoffs begin later this summer. And starting on the front road tonight, we've got a couple of Toyotas, but not named Corey Heim, as Tricon Garage locks out the front three positions with Gio Ruggiero, Tanner Gray in row number one. Corey Heim, who has been the season favorite not only for the championship, but it seems like week in and week out for the race win, starting right there behind him in third. Appreciate everybody tuning in for this stream today. We might have some new viewers that might have tuned in for the first time during our ARCA race coverage with Cletus McFarland running in that race. Congratulations again to Austin Green getting the race win in the number 82 car earlier on. Track temps have cooled a bit from where we were in that run earlier today for the ARCA race. 71 degrees. It was 76 at the start of the ARCA race. 71 right now in the Charlotte Motor Speedway or Concord, North Carolina area. And as far as the track temp, 90 degrees and continuously dropping once we get into full and complete darkness for this event. A couple of Cup Series regulars in the field today. Kyle Busch will be running the Truck Series race, as well will Ross Chastain. Can they dethrone Corey Heim from getting his possible fourth win of the season? In the broadcast booth tonight on Fox Sports 1, it's all drivers: Kevin Harvick, Joey Logano, and Michael Waltrip. As we will have pit road reporters as always for this race as well. We'll get to tune into that and much more throughout the course of this event. Our scheduled distance tonight will be 134 laps in 200 miles. And as soon as we get the national anthem underway, I'll let you listen in to the pre-race ceremonies. Ace Alshire, welcome into the stream. You're the first in the chat below. Stu, welcome into the stream as well, and many others. As always, you can vote for who you think is going to win tonight's Craftsman Truck Series race in our chat poll. And the early going of our poll, we've only had 7 votes so far. We will close this at the end of stage number 2 per usual on these NASCAR live commentary streams. So I asked you who you thought was going to win at Charlotte. Right now, 33% of those votes taking both Corey Heim and Kyle Busch. So a deadlock tie. Now Busch to 40. No, back 33. No, back to 40. There we go. Jumping back and forth between Heim and Busch right now. Ross Chastain has 20% of the votes, and other than those three at 10%. We'll see how that voting poll will change over the course of the night. We'll see how the track conditions change over the course of the night as the race progresses as well. Before we get into the point standings for this one, we'll turn to trackside for the pre-race ceremonies.
Render a hand salute as York Comprehensive High School Navy Junior ROTC presents our nation's colors. Here to offer tonight's invocation, please welcome U.S. Air Force veteran Staff Sergeant Donnie Floyd.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father God, we thank you for a beautiful night. Yesterday, Lord, you didn't promise us today, but we are here, so we are grateful. God, we know we missed the mark of your standard, and I would ask that you forgive us. We appreciate your grace and forgiveness. God, we thank you for a beautiful night, but also for the spirit of competition. We thank you for NASCAR and the Charlotte Motor Speedway and all that we get to do here tonight to enjoy this sport. And so, God, I ask your protection over this place tonight. For all the fans here, all the track workers, all the crews, and especially our drivers, that you would give us a safe night. And last but not least, God, I thank you for freedom as we honor and remember the men and women of this great nation that have given their lives so that we could be free to do what we do tonight. We ask for your extended grace and mercy over us. In Christ's name, amen.
Here to perform our national anthem, please welcome worship leader and 4th grade teacher from Gastonia, North Carolina, and Richard.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streamed, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
All right, we'll be back to get things going here in Charlotte. Absolutely perfect night to go racing. And when we come back, we are going to get these trucks fired up and on the racetrack. Hopefully, see a great show.
I'm just going to go out on the limb and say I think I'm going to do a better job than Kevin Harvick tonight on play-by-play. How about that? All right, calling my shot here in the early going. Before we go through the starting lineup for tonight's race, I want to highlight the point standings for you real quick. The top 10 are scrolling across the top of the screen throughout the course of tonight's action, but in depth, we'll go through this now in the pre-race. Corey Heim has the most wins in the Truck Series season with 3 through the first 10 races. Of a win potentially again last weekend at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Got taken out by Lane Riggs on an overtime restart. Riggs trying to slide job him, wasn't clear, stuffed him into the fence. Around goes Corey Heim. He finishes last on the lead lap. Corey does have 21 playoff points already this season with the 3 wins. He also has 6 stage wins on the season. Chandler Smith, who went on to win that race, cut his points deficit in almost half on the current reigning points leader, Corey Heim. He's 47 points out of first in the race for the extra 15 playoff points for winning that regular season championship. Daniel Hemrick is third in points, 87 back coming into the evening, and Tyler Ankrum is minus 93, in fourth. The top 4 in the driver standings are the only Truck Series regulars that actually have a win this season. We do have a few Cup regulars who have won truck races. Carson Hocevar being one of which, Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch. And we'll see Kyle Busch try to go for number 2 in the field here tonight. Grant Enfinger's highest in the points of those that don't have a win this season. And then Ty Majeski would be in 6th behind Enfinger, who is 5th. 7th for Jake Garcia, Lane Riggs at 8th. Hayden Honeycutt and Stuart Friesen have the last 2 playoff spots if the playoffs were to begin coming into the night. Just a 6-point cushion for Friesen in that final spot over 2-time champion Ben Rhodes. Giovanni Ruggiero, who starts on the front row and on the pole for tonight's race, is only minus 7, so he being 12th in points is big. Raja Karuth is not that far behind, as well as Tanner Gray, so very tight around that bubble, and a lot of bigger names in the Truck Series looking to get their way into the playoffs. There will be some decent names that will miss the postseason, as only 10 drivers can qualify here at the end of, again, 18 races. We're going into race 11 here tonight. Now the starting lineup for this race here today, the North Carolina Education Lottery 200 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Again, it's a Tricon Garage trio at the front of the field with Gio Ruggiero and Tanner Gray making up row number 1. And row 2 will be the series points leader Corey Heim alongside Ross Chastain, who's still looking for his first truck win of the season as a Cup Series regular. And row 3 will be Caden Honeycutt and a one-time winner this season, Daniel Hemrick. Lane Riggs with Raja Karuth lining up in row number 4. Last week's winner at North Wilkesboro, Chandler Smith alongside Jake Garcia. Ty Majeski, Kyle Busch making up row number 6. Busch a win at Atlanta earlier in the season. Brandon Jones making his 3rd truck start of the year, back-to-back weeks as well for him. And Andres Perez will line up in row 7. Row 8 for Connor Mosack and Matt Mills. Behind them in row number 9 will be Dawson Sutton and Grant Enfinger. Enfinger ran in the ARCA race a little bit earlier on today. BJ McLeod making his first truck start of the season on the inside of row 10 with Stephen Parsons. McLeod in the 07 for Spire Motorsports. Great equipment to see him in for the first time really in his NASCAR career. Ben Rhodes with Jack Wood in row number 11. Row 12 for Tyler Ankrum, the one-time winner this year, and Parker Kligerman, who did cross the finish line first at Daytona at the start of the season, unfortunately failed post-race inspection. This will be Kligerman's 4th truck start of the year. Tony Breidinger with Matt Crafton deeper in the field in row 13. Timmy Hill, Spencer Boyd in row 14. Cody Dennis and Justin Carroll, row 15. And for Frankie Muniz and Stuart Friesen bringing up deep in the field in row 16. Row number 17 rounding out the field will be Luke Fenhouse in the 66 for Thor Sport Racing and Mason Maggio. That is our 34 truck field here tonight. In the pre-race, I guess, if you will, Gio Ruggiero was caught up by Josh Sims.
It's going to be a long race. Just got to have good pit stops and good strategy. So I think we got a really fast 17 Tundra, and I'm excited for the race.
you've really been hitting your groove right now in the season. 4 top tens of the last 5 races. What has allowed you to have this consistency running in the top 10 and having a chance to compete for wins?
Yeah, just having a great team behind me. My guys work so hard and they do such a great job. So super thankful and proud of them, and looking to keep building on this momentum and pull off a win soon.
Good luck out there tonight, Gio. He's going to lead the field to green, Kevin.
Gio's done a great job, and when you look at his experience and
William Byron is not in the race, Shane. Nope, not this weekend. BJ McLeod in the 07. And then Kyle Busch in the number 7 at Spire Motorsports will be those 2 entries this weekend. Cool to see BJ in that truck. I'm curious to see how he does. Didn't qualify particularly well. He'll be starting mid-pack, but we'll see as the race progresses how he gets acclimated with the new team for tonight. He's only ran a couple of Cup races so far this season, or attempted to run the Daytona 500. Failed to qualify there. He did run at Talladega within the last month. They're about to get the command to fire engines and get this thing kicked off here today. Once again, our scheduled distance tonight, 134 laps, 200 miles. And our stage splits today will be 30 in stage 1, 30 in stage 2, and the rest of the way to the finish after that, 74 laps. They will have to pit for fuel and tire purposes at some point in stage number 3, but stages 1 and 2, with how short they are, not necessarily going to have to be the case. Full screen commercial break taking place on Fox Sports 1. Should be the last one before the drop of the green flag. Take a look at our chat poll again while we're still in the pre-race here and awaiting the green flag as to who is that top vote getter. Kyle Busch still leads the way. Very tight, though. 35% for him, 30% for Corey Heim. Ross Chastain, 20%. We've seen Chastain run at Spire Motorsports a couple times this season. He's running at Nice Motorsports tonight. Kind of the same for Carson Hocevar, depending on what start he'll be in for his several throughout the truck season. Somebody other than those 3 still at 14% of the votes. We're up to 21. Again, end of stage 2, which will be lap 60, is when that voting poll will close. So still in the first half of the race tonight, with the final stage being just over half the race length. Defending winner of this race is Ben Rhodes. Highest qualifying Ford, though. Lane Riggs back in 7th. 3 Toyotas, followed by 3 Chevys. There are 3 Fords that qualified in the top 10, but 7th, 9th, and 10th. Or Sport Racing has not gone to victory lane yet this season, but they didn't last year until they got to Charlotte. So maybe that'll be the case 2 years in a row. Too many fast trucks in this race, but your pick is Chastain. It's a good one. He's been competitive. He hasn't won yet this year, but we have had 3 Cup regulars win a truck race this season, so maybe Chastain can be the 4th. Chastain had some pretty good short run speed. I think it was at Homestead he raced at earlier this season. Would fire off well and then just couldn't get the long run speed to go for him. We're not going to see as much tire fall off tonight as what we will at a track like Homestead, but we will still see a bit of fall off. The Argon tires, those Hoosier tires, they were able to hold up quite well, and there wasn't as much fall off there, but I don't think you're going to see that kind of lack of tire wear, if you will, across all 3 series for this weekend. Mile and a half track seems like with each of these top 3 series, we do see some sort of wear outside of maybe a Texas Motor Speedway, but even then, that track is produced at least a little bit on the short run side of things. Once you get the heat cycle in it, they even out after about 5 to 10 laps. It's almost basically how it was last week at North Wilkesboro. It's about how Texas Motor Speedway's been since their repave and reconfiguration, but it's getting more and more slick. Here at Charlotte, though, it's been almost 2 decades since the last time I believe they reconfigured and repaved this track. 2007, I believe. So we're getting there, 18 years now. Charlotte's turned into one of the better mile and a half tracks on the circuit. Only got one oval date with the fall race being taken over by the Roval since 2018. Sharitha Cooper, welcome to the stream. By the way, it is hard to believe that it's going to be 8 years of the Charlotte Roval already this year. Oh my gosh. That is insane. It does not feel like the Charlotte Roval has been going on for 8 years already. It's really the first time I thought about that this season. Makes me feel old. So it really wasn't all that long ago they started racing there, and now it's just a common occurrence. Should see a packed crowd on Sunday again. This Coke 600 has, I think it's sold out every year since COVID. 21 it was sold out when I went. I'm pretty sure it's been sold out every year since. I don't know on the attendance for this year if they sold out or not, but I would expect a lot of butts and seats. And we should have a lot better weather this weekend than what we had last year. It was rain shortened last season for the Coke 600, but this year, percentage of rain down around 20%. So that's a good sight. Same thing for Indy for the 500 this weekend, down around 24% chance of rain on Sunday afternoon, which has dropped from where it was earlier in the week. I think it was as high as 40% earlier in the week. So that's good to see it's going in the right direction. Hopefully, Kyle Larson could get the full 111 miles, 1,100 miles in. Sam Hall, welcome into the stream. Last day of school is the 28th. Wednesday and a Thursday. You probably have Monday off too, so only going to go for 2 to 3 days. It's kind of weird. Short week to end it. Monday, of course, being Memorial Day. The Charlotte University truck for lane rigs tonight at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Is that going to be the good luck?
Last week, what do you say?
FS1 booth dialing up lane rigs.
Well, let's take a look at the North Carolina Education Lottery
Well, never tried.
starting grid. Starting on the front row, we've got Gio Ruggiero and Tanner Gray.
If they do dial up anybody here anytime soon, you'll get to listen into that. Obviously on their pace laps right now before the start of the race. Lane Riggs desperate for a win. He has been desperate a couple times here these last couple of weeks. Kansas, North Wilkesboro, couple slide jobs gone wrong. In the battle of trying to get the win. Finished second one week, finished second the next, so at least he's not wrecking himself out of it, although last week he did take Corey Heim out of it, who spun from the lead. I believe ended up finishing, 19th? I know he was the last car in the lead lap. 17th, 19th, somewhere around there. So he's looking for a bounce-back performance today. My pick's going to be Corey Heim. Every mile and a half track going forward, I'm taking Heim. I don't care who's in the field. Maybe if Kyle Larson's in there one of these times, I might take Larson like I did at Homestead, but give me Corey. I was right last week. I actually swept the weekend last week for the most part. So I predicted Chandler Smith to win the truck race. I got that. And then for the heat races that Saturday night, I didn't take Brad Keselowski in race 1, but I'm trying to think back to who I picked in that. Wasn't Keselowski. It might have been, was Logano in race number? I think Logano was in race 1. I think I ended up taking Joey. But anyway, I took Christopher Bell in race number 2. He won that. I took Carson Hocevar in the Open. He won that. And then I took Christopher Bell in the All-Star race. So predictions last week bumped my average score up a ton. I mean, I almost swept the weekend. For the most part, I'll say I did, because I had one heat race wrong. I went 4 for 5. I don't think I'll do that anytime else the rest of the season. But, yeah, taking Corey Heim this evening. Going for back-to-back in the Truck Series. Going back-to-back in Cup, too, because I took Larson to win at Kansas. I'm on a roll right now. Which means you better tune in early for a live commentary coverage of the Cup Series race on Sunday when you get my full in-depth predictions for who I think will run well and not run well for the Coke 600. Obviously, the start time for that will be dictated on exactly when the Indy 500 ends. I don't expect the Indy 500 to go too long. Should still have about an hour to an hour and a half in between streams, at least. We'll go live again at 12:30 p.m. Eastern for the Indy 500 on Sunday, but the Coke 600 will be 5:30 p.m. Eastern, and the 600 itself will start a little bit after 6. Start in the day, end in the night. ARCA race mostly in the evening, daylight hours. Truck race fully in the night. 24 degrees of banking at Charlotte Motor Speedway, both ends of the racetrack. 5 degrees on the straight. Front stretch is about 400 feet longer than the back straightaway with the curved D-shaped oval, of course. The quad oval, if you will. 2 kinks on the front stretch. Pit road speed 45 miles per hour. Fuel window 50 to 55 laps. 1 to go signal. Gio Ruggiero on the inside lane. Who seemed to be the better of the 2 lanes in the ARCA race earlier today when it comes to trying to get the fire off and get the launch. Pretty good crowd for this Truck Series race here tonight on a Friday evening. Got certain sections of the grandstand closed off, but for what they do have available, it does look like there are quite a few people there. 2 weeks in a row, we got a decent crowd for a truck race. Of course, North Wilkesboro just up the road on I-77. Hour and a half, maybe less than that, north of Charlotte Motor Speedway. And here we are nearly in the backyard for a lot of these teams for the second consecutive week. Our light goal for this stream today will be 50. And we're already at 24 in the early going. So thank you all. And lights are out on the pace car. Red, white, blue colors on this Memorial Day weekend for Ross Chastain. It'll be hard to find his car. Different from the usual Nice Motorsport colors, I will say. Mostly white or mostly black race trucks, but not for Chastain this weekend in the 44. Caden Honeycutt, the 45, starting up there with him. He's been quick on the 1.5 mile tracks. Hasn't been able to put a full race together for the most part this season. We'll see if he can do that today. Corey Heim, who's dominated in laps led on these 1.5 mile tracks, trying to win one. He's been very inconsistent with getting the win, but he's been very consistent with race win pace. Ruggiero gets the bump from behind from his teammate Corey Heim. Green flag is in the air. We are racing at Charlotte Motor Speedway for the second leg of our doubleheader. ARCA earlier, trucks now. And into turns 1 and 2, Ruggiero has the lead. Heim was pushing him all the way into the first turn. Corey's now clear for second as he moves up in front of Tanner Gray off turn 2. A lot of 2 and 3 wide racing going on in the back of the pack. Things very closely congested together most of the way through the field. Kyle Busch is in the outer line 3 wide. He's got Jake Garcia just to his inside in the middle groove. Say exit turn 4. Ruggiero will lead lap 1, but not by much over Corey Heim, who slips to his outside. And entering the first turn, Corey Heim attacking for the lead. Ross Chastain trying to slide his way into third as he squeezes Tanner Gray. Gray not giving anything to the truck underneath him. They'll stay door to door for position. Corey Heim up off turn 2 is not able to clear for the lead as well. Ruggiero side drafts him a bit down the back straightaway. Drives it deep into turn 3. A little bit of debris on the grill of Ruggiero's 17 truck, and Corey Heim might have to get in front of him, and Ruggiero might have to slide up in behind to get the airflow on the nose of that race truck to get the debris off of it. Don't want to risk overheating, especially early on. Corey Heim led that last lap in the line, and now he's clear off turn 2. Ross Chastain looking for second to the inside. Ruggiero not close enough to the back bumper of the 11 to get the debris to blow off the grill. Still hanging on there. It looked like part of it blew off, but not all of it. Chastain up in front of him off turn 4, and now that's enough to clear it off. So debris is off of the grill of the 17. He does fall to third. And now Ross Chastain's putting the 11 of Corey Heim under duress at the front of the pack. Steve, welcome into the stream. Yeah, raw feed should stay active. It was just ARCA bugging out on us. The raw feed this year, I will say, for the most part, has been accurate, and it hasn't been going away on us during the course of the race like it was last year, but I don't like the way it looks compared to last year. Heim leads that lap, but Ross Chastain barely going to get to his outside off turn 4. And Corey about squeezed him, but Ross wasn't giving up any extra ground. Gio Ruggiero had a pretty big run off turn 4 as well. I'm not sure if Heim had a slip up or not, but he's definitely not pulling away. Chastain couldn't get it done on the top through 1 and 2, so he'll try the bottom in 3 and 4, and he's going to be clear. Chastain had a good short run truck, led some laps at Homestead earlier this season. He slides up the racetrack, but still maintains with the race lead. Hayden Honeycutt might have brushed the wall off of turn 4 in the 6th spot. That could cost him a spot to Lane Riggs, who gets underneath him into 1. Chastain led that last lap of the line, but Corey Heim's slingshot crossover moved to the bottom of the track in 1 and 2, but couldn't clear high off the exit of the corner. Hillstead side draft Chastain down the back straightaway. These guys are getting after it early. Corey Heim trying to race his way up the track. Chastain on the high side off turn 4 will stay there on Corey Heim again. Ruggiero follows his teammate down on the bottom, not close enough to give him a bump draft on the front stretch though. Corey Heim leads that lap in the line. We've already seen a few lead changes, 3 of them. And Chastain going to try to make it 4 because he just cleared Heim off turn 2. So Heim wasn't able to clear Chastain, but he was able to lead that last lap of the line. Now Chastain's going to lead this next one. And that should give us 4 lead changes in the opening 8 laps of this event. Chastain 0.2 of a second ahead of Corey Heim in P2. Gio Ruggiero's a half a second off the lead in 3rd. Daniel Hemrick's 1 second back at 4th, and Lane Riggs a second and a half off the lead in 5th. That's the top 5 as we get closer to the midway point of stage number 1. I'm looking to the inside on the white line. Down the front stretch, running that higher arc on the 24 degrees of banking. Tanner Gray slips by Caden Honeycutt. Gray qualified on the front row, but he's been slipping back quite quickly. He's got the 7th and 8th place trucks of Honeycutt and Chandler Smith right there. Honeycutt's failed pass attempt through 1 and 2 is going to open up a big head of steam from the 38 to the inside, and Chandler Smith will take over 7th from Honeycutt. And obviously with the quicker truck, he'll be able to try to have a better effort at passing Tanner Gray on this end of the track in 1 and 2. Lane Riggs moving forward as well. He just broke into the top 5 a little bit ago on Gray. Now he passes Daniel Hemrick on lap number 10 for 4th place. Down the back straightaway, Tanner Gray around the outside, keeps the momentum up, had a bump draft from behind by Honeycutt to keep in front of the 38, and Honeycutt might be able to get right back by Chandler, and he does. And a big run to the bottom by Honeycutt, but he gets blocked into the AstroTurf on the inside by Tanner Gray. Still slips to the inside, and as they roll their way through the corner, Honeycutt's not going to give an inch, but he's well clear and wins the battle for 6th and will now look to pull away from the 15. Kyle Busch up to 9th. He's gained a couple of spots from the start. He's gaining in on this battle behind the 45, 15, and 38. Definitely in the picture. So much action going on. Chandler Smith to the inside of Tanner Gray. Chandler will make the pass for 7th, also through 1 and 2. Same spot the lap before where Honeycutt got by Tanner. And now Kyle Busch's turn into 3 and 4. Big lift in the wake of the dirty air for Gray behind Smith, that he had a massive lift off turn 2 and allowed for Busch to keep his momentum up and make the pass. Gray's in danger of falling out of any sort of a position to get stage points in stage 1 despite qualifying on the front row in the opening stage only being 30 laps. So far, so good for him. We'll have 17 laps to go at stage 1 this time by. The lead is still about 0.2 of a second over Corey Heim for 2nd place for Chastain, who's the leader.
You saw Kyle Busch in front of him all the way up the racetrack right there in the 3rd lane through turns 1 and 2. So lots of lane options right here. And we're off to a great start here in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Let's take a short break and be right back.
All right, so we'll go through the full field leaderboard for the first time then, as we're at lap 15 of 30 in stage one, exactly halfway there. Lap 15 of 134 total, only 8 minutes in, but Ross Chastain's lead is just by a truck length, if that, over Corey Heim. He's got another big run on him all of a sudden into 1 and 2. Corey going to back up the corner and try again another lap, it looks like. Lane Riggs is in the third spot, slipping upwards through the field as he gains ground on the top two as well. Gio Rogero's in fourth. Daniel Hemrick rounds out the top five in fifth. Caden Honeycutt's in sixth. Chandler Smith seventh. Kyle Busch eighth. Tanner Gray ninth. And Ty Majeski in 10th. Raja Caruth in 11th. Matt Mills 12th. Jake Garcia 13th. 14th. Rogers Perez and Brandon Jones 15th. Grant Enfinger in 16th. Ben Rhodes 17th. Stephen Parsons 18th. Matt Crafton 19th. And 20th is Parker Kligerman. 21st, Dawson Sutton. Tyler Ankrum 22nd. Connor Mosack 23rd. And Stuart Friesen 24th. 25th for Timmy Hill, Jack Wood, 26th, Luke Fenhouse, 27th, BJ McLeod, 28th, Spencer Boyd, 29th, and Tony Breidinger in 30th. Mason Maggio, 31st, Cody Dennison, 32nd, Frankie Muniz and Justin Carroll, 33rd and 34th, are off the lead lap. Pass for the lead that last time by. Corey Heim clears Ross Chastain, leads at the start-finish line, but Chastain on the crossover attempt through 1 and 2 gets back to the inside of Heim. Heim on the outside will swing on by. Chastain had a big loose moment off turn 2, and he'll lose several truck lengths down the back straightaway. Lead is opened up to about a half a second quickly now for Corey Heim. 13 laps to go in stage 1. We'll take our first break. Again, you're listening live, North Carolina Education Lottery 200 at Charlotte. And Chastain definitely fired off good on the short run, but Corey Heim in the long run seems to be that truck to beat yet again, at least in stage 1. Kyle Busch up to 6th as well. He got by Chandler Smith and Daniel Hemrick through the commercial break. So can't count Kyle Busch out of it yet either. Third truck start of the season for Busch. Ran last week at North Wilkesboro. Barely snuck in the top 10 by the finish. Didn't lead a single lap, though. Won his first race of the season at Atlanta on the Super Speedway drafting mile and a half.
Right there, but his lap times on the long run seems to be pretty superior to Ross Chastain currently.
Oh, yes. He stays settled in. He didn't look too settled to me. He's bouncing around the back of the truck. That's a fast one. That's what I'm talking about. Charlotte Motor Speedway is such a challenging mile and a half that even when you are the fastest truck on the racetrack, it still feels like crap. Just to be honest, it's just hard to drive around this racetrack.
I love what Kevin said. He settled in, and then we look up and he's sliding all over the place. That's the way these guys race these trucks. Got some real movers early in the going.
Something we know about Corey Heim, you see it right here. He is so fast on the long haul. We see that every single week here in the truck series. And if he's going to get beat, it's going to be on the short run. That truck doesn't fire off the fastest, but once you give it 10, 15 laps, look out. It's going to be fast. So you don't know how these races play out, and that's why sometimes it bites them. Because you got such a fast truck, but it's on the long haul, and many, many times we see these races end with a short run.
Well, you talk about a short run, coming to 9 to go here in stage 1. So when these trucks go green, they fire off some laps pretty quick, and with these short stages, it doesn't take long to get through them.
There's our biggest movers early in the going. Matt Crafton up 7 spots, and this guy, Kyle Busch, is up 6, but he's racing his way up toward the top 5. That's an impressive start to this race. We were a little bit surprised early in practice how off his times were, but they got that thing squared away near the end of that practice session, and he's coming.
Yeah, and the thing that I really like about what we're seeing right now is not only Kyle Busch, but really everybody. They can move all over this racetrack. And there's a lot of options when you get into the corner. And when your truck starts to handle a little bit different, you can move from the bottom, you can move to the middle, you can move to the top. You don't have to follow the guy in front of you to see Kyle use the whole track right there.
That's bringing the back end of that thing all the way up to the very top of the wall. Loses a little bit of time there. And that's one thing about Kyle Busch. He's going to get what he can out of it right here, but he knows that there's going to be time to work on this truck. You give it time,
he doesn't struggle for very long, especially here in the Truck Series. He's gonna figure it out. There's gonna have a moment for his crew chief to work on it, and he'll keep getting faster throughout the race.
Brian Patty, he's an experienced guy. He's nobody with more experience on top of the block. What's the line? House right out next to the fence. You said it, Zoe. That's so cool to watch these guys maneuver all over this racetrack. And a quick shout out to Gio Ruggiero. We talked about him starting on the pole. He's fallen back to fifth, but he's settled in the top five, thinking about what his truck needs, what kind of adjustments he needs to go up there and get the lead in this race.
And a lot of times that's a good thing, Michael. Until you're 100% comfortable, there's no reason to put yourself in a position that you're, not comfortable with and tear your truck up. So settling in, understanding where you need to be, what everybody else is in all these different lines, things that are happening. He settled into a nice pace, and I look at that as a positive.
Well, look at Kyle Busch here. He's been running the absolute top, running at the wall. Gio kind of takes a little bit of his line there and takes his air, but the track's moving up. Trucks are moving up. And what I've seen here the last couple laps, Kyle's getting these huge runs down the straightaway. This time it's not going to be as much because Gio recognized it and blocked that.
Majeski. Racing alongside Matt Mills. Mills a little bit shaky on the bottom. Had to go up around the lap truck. Dusty Carroll there in the 90.
But he used him as a pick.
Yeah.
Right there.
Roger Cruz got his eyes on this battle. He slides up from the 11th position in that HendrickCars.com truck.
And I have to imagine a lot of these guys are looking forward to the end of the stage. We watch practice. Not a lot of guys ran several consecutive laps in a row to really understand where their truck is. But day to night, that's a big change in handling typically here in Charlotte.
And then also, Joey, when you're Kyle Busch and you have the experience he has, Corey Haim's proven to be special as well. But these guys know how to talk to their crew chiefs, get the adjustments they need to get the truck even better yet.
When you look at the gaps here of some of the faster trucks, we see obviously Corey Heim right there on your screen. He's going fast, a couple seconds in front of Chastain, but Riggs has been able to run down Chastain as well in the long haul. So, Riggs is going to have a little better track position if they have a good pit stop after the stage. And then you may see that rivalry once again with the 34 and the 11.
Yeah, the good trucks have consistently found their way towards the front. As we saw last week, the 11 of Corey Heim, the 34 of Lane Riggs. You've got Ross Chastain right in the middle of them. But those two trucks of Heim and Riggs, those have consistently been fast trucks, and that's why they run into each other every once in a while.
When you're racing for the win, everybody goes for it, right? You put extra into it, you're going to make the bigger move because winning matters that much, right? Like, second hurts. I know from experience, second hurts. It's really about the win, and drivers are willing to do the big moves. And yeah, a lot of times there's emotions that flare after that.
Well, as we come to the final lap of this stage, we watch Lane Riggs start the final lap here. But Corey Heim has put himself in a position to dominate the second half of this stage. He's done a great job. And as we've seen all year, he's had the long run speed to go along with everything else in that 11 truck. Right through the middle of the racetrack. And Corey Heim is going to come to his 7th stage win of 2025 and his 2nd at Charlotte.
There it is.
Well, it's still Heim time in stage 1. Consistent with pretty much everything that he's done this year. We'll see if he can continue it.
As you heard from Kevin Harvick on the broadcast, Corey Heim wins his 7th stage of the year, about 2 seconds over Ross Chastain in 2nd. Lane Riggs was 3.2 seconds back in 3rd. Caden Honeycutt 4th, and Kyle Busch got to 5th in the closing laps of the stage. Gio Ruggiero, who started on the pole, ends up 6th. Daniel Hemrick 7th, Chandler Smith 8th, Ty Majeski 9th, Matt Mills rounds out the top 10. 1 point per position. It's 22 playoff points now in the year for Heim. If I remember correctly, wasn't Heim DQ'd from this race last year? Where he finished 2nd behind Ben Rhodes, and then Rhodes ended up... I know Rhodes stole it from him on a late race restart, but... We've seen a lot of DQ finishes this year, so maybe can't rule it out, but I'd imagine that they're not going to make that same mistake 2 years in a row for the 11 here at Charlotte. I'm sure they learned from their mistakes. We're able to make the truck just as quick. He's fast everywhere we go. It doesn't matter what kind of track we're on, but the mile and a half specifically, again, he dominates in those laps led. I do have the laps led chart at the top of the screen scrolling across because it's insane how many more laps Corey Heim has led compared to anybody else. Coming into the night, he's led 656 laps in the Truck Series this season. Next closest is Chandler Smith with 188. I mean, it's not even close. It's almost 500 laps difference. And that even counts the fact that we've had some Cup regulars in here leading a bunch of laps or winning races. Kyle Busch is actually sixth on the laps led chart this season with 81 laps led, just outside that top five, running only 2 races so far this year, though 81 of those 81 laps were led at the Atlanta Motor Speedway en route to Busch's only win of the truck schedule. He didn't lead a single lap with the top 10 last week at North Wilkesboro. Kyle Larson had a win earlier this season. He's dominated in laps led in the Xfinity Series, but in the Truck Series, I believe he's only led 34, which were all at Homestead in the one win he had. That would rank him just outside the top 5 as well. 9th on the year in laps led for Larson in the truck. So it's pretty much Corey Heim, and then there's 5 drivers that have led over 100 laps this season in trucks, but barely over 100 for everybody but Heim, who the laps led he's already had so far today, he's fastly approaching 700, and we're only going into the 11th race of the season. And you count into it, these Truck Series races are short. Again, 134 laps tonight, but you got Heim in a race like this would lead 99, 100 laps nearly, like he has for most of the year. Rowdy in the top 5, you think he can win? I think he's got a good truck. I would probably say that Corey Heim, Chastain, Riggs, and Busch have the 4 fastest trucks. Heim definitely has the quickest on the long run. Chastain probably is the best short run truck. I think Busch and Riggs are a bit better in the long run. I wasn't really looking at the lap times between Busch and Riggs to see who was running faster towards the end of the run because they were both gaining ground. So I have to pay attention to that more in stage 2 for you.
Coverage begins at 10 a.m. Eastern, Sunday on Fox.
I'm going to be tuned into that, man. That's a special day.
Yeah, and as we got to the end of the stage right there, Tony Breitinger had a little bit of trouble. That right front tire.
Didn't go down there into the outside wall, but just flight contact. I've been on and off pit road and got her fixed up.
Yeah, when we went to commercial and first looked down, we thought the engine blew, and then we saw the right front tire down, making all that smoke right there.
It's a pretty good hit into the wall there, especially right front first. You got to assume that the toe's bent a little bit on that truck now. Maybe some other things, as you can see, they're trying to pull the fenders out because they don't want to cut down another tire.
Yeah, and that's the most important thing at this point. Make sure that right front fender is not going to rub on that right front tire again. As you see those crew guys there, got the Sawzall out, the baseball bat trying to clearance the fender. But it still looks pretty tight on that right front tire there. So they've got a little bit of work to do to get that right. All right. Pits will be open this time. See our first stage points right there. Corey Heim capitalizing another 10 points on that stage win. And now we're going to put it into the hands of the guys on pit road. Can Corey Heim hold that lead that he earned in the first stage? Let's go down to Josh.
I'll start with the 34 of Lane Riggs. He came over the radio, said he needs a little more rear security. They're going to make a couple adjustments to try and help him out, air pressure and the track bar as well. For him, for Ross Chastain, he said the truck started too loose, that it got too tight towards the end of that run. Little adjustment for the 44 as well, Todd.
Yeah, I spoke with Corey Heim after practice, and you could tell in his voice he loved the way his truck was driving. Started that run off just a little bit free, but came right to him, and he loved it at the end. Small adjustments for Corey Heim. Kevin?
Yeah, Corey Heim, he was definitely confident as you see the race off the pit road right here.
Really good stop by Caden Honeycutt's team. I'm going to pick up 3 spots. I watched the stop right across from us here, and they just were smooth down there. I was curious if they were going to work on that right rear fender, but they didn't. They just had a fast pit stop.
Chastain lost
Kane
4
Honeycutt takes the lead from Corey Heim on pit road. We'll see how that pans out on the restart when we come back.
So Heim only lost that 1 spot, falls back to second. Busch Rogero up 1 because Chastain lost 4. Chastain falls from second to 5th. And that's where he'll restart. Caden Honeycutt moved up 3 positions on pit road to win the race out of the pits. And again, he'll be the leader. Everybody's going to be lining up in the top dozen or so after leaving the pits. Stage 1 went caution-free tonight, so our first yellow is this Stage 1 break at lap 30. Caden Honeycutt will be the leader upcoming on the restart. Corey Heim will be second, Lane Riggs third, Kyle Busch fourth, and Gio Ruggiero in fifth. And we'll have Ross Chastain, Ty Majeski just behind them. Take another break here while we wait for this upcoming restart. You're listening live on KRC, Craftsman Truck Series at Charlotte. I will probably get an Xfinity ride next year. I mean, we were hoping that he was going to get one for this year, and he didn't get it. I don't know. I can see him just going straight to Cup, honestly. You know, is 2311 maybe going to be one and done with Riley Herbst? And that's the case. Maybe Corey Heim gets that ride. I could see that being an option for him. I don't know that a ride at Legacy opens up. Nemechek's been doing fairly good in that equipment. Eric Jones has fallen off quite a bit, and I hate to say it because really he was doing great in that 43 car up until he had that back injury at Talladega last year in the spring. But ever since he came back, I just Nemechek's been outrunning him pretty clearly. I mean, there'll be some weeks Nemechek's right around like 12th, 15th, and Eric Jones is well outside the top 20. We've seen that quite a bit in the sport, especially in recent years where a driver gets hurt and they don't really seem to run the same. I mean, really, anybody that's gotten hurt in the next gen car, it seems like when they get back in the next gen car, they're not as fast anymore. Chase Elliott, even though his injury was a snowboarding accident, but 2022, the year before that snowboarding accident took place, he won the most races of any driver that year. (2023) has the injury, he goes winless the rest of the year. Won 1 race at Texas last year, and he hasn't won since. He won the Clash earlier this season at not North Wilkesboro, Bowman Gray, but as far as points paying wins, it has been over a back break and a sprint car incident as well, and he's only won 1 race since those injuries back in the later portion of 2022. Eric Jones, like I mentioned already.
The Wood brothers and all the historic wins and things that they've done in this amazing sport of ours. I was fortunate enough to spend the time with Kyle and Richard, my daughter Macy, there and the Wood brothers on Wednesday night, celebrating their accomplishments in our sport.
Wood Brothers is a great family, meant so much to this sport, the Petty family, the Waltrip family. And when you come to Charlotte Motor Speedway, whether it's for the truck race, Xfinity race, Cup race, there's something going on at all the race shops. Every day there is something to do during this week. So great weekend of motorsports.
How beautiful is this racetrack, though? You see, it's America's home for racing. It's just Marcus Smith and his team just do a great job of making every inch of this place something fun for the fans to do.
Yeah, and when you go out into the Midway, it's alive and well. And even for the ARCA and truck race tonight, we've got a great crowd on hand. These truckers put on a great race in the first stage.
Wow, it was so competitive. You ever watch that TV when you're racing here, guys? I never got to see it up there.
Take a glance every now and again. See what's
I'll look
going
up
on.
there. and
Just
watch-
see what's happening.
All right, we had a few penalties right there. 77 over the wall too soon. 42 and 52 uncontrolled tires.
Gotta clean that up. You're gonna have a top 10 finish here. Get away with it right now, but as this race marches on, can't have any mistakes.
Well, something interesting I see here, Caden Honeycutt, he's the leader. He took the bottom on this start, and we see no one fighting for the top. I think he's thinking that maybe he can get a good enough push on that bottom lane. It did clear the initial start. The bottom lane did clear, so maybe he took note of that, thinking that Kyle Busch is going to probably give him a good push.
He's probably a pretty good driver, Kyle Busch. I bet he can push early here.
Probably knows how to restart fairly well at this point in his career.
As we approach the Echo Park restart zone, we're going to find out if that lane choice is going to work out for Caden Honeycutt.
Green flag is back in the air. Honeycutt wins the race back to the start-finish line by inches over Corey Heim, who's to his outside still as they enter turns 1 and 2. Honeycutt is clear to the high side. Chastain 3 wide to the top on Lane Riggs, who is in the middle underneath him. Gio Ruggiero in the 17 all the way on the bottom. Kyle Busch trying to get to the inside for second on Corey Heim in the short run. Chastain, who tried to slip to the outside of the 11, wasn't really able to do so and allowed for Busch to get around him initially on the restart. So now Chastain's in fourth. And he pushes Kyle Busch, and Busch is going to nearly get through into second. Busch was all sorts of sideways with that 44 truck pushing him from behind, but it was a great push. Couldn't quite clear the 11, though, as he was tight to the back bumper of Hayden Honeycutt. A big bump trapped on the back of Honeycutt. A look to the inside, a block, a move to the outside, and Corey Heim whips around the 45. Heim leads. 5 lead changes already. 7 laps were ran under the stage 1 caution. Brakes are already down to 20 laps to go in stage 2 with where we're at right now. Heim's leads about 0.3 of a second already over the 45 of Honeycutt. Chastain through 1 and 2. That last time by was able to slip by Kyle Busch for third. He's got a big run on the outside looking for second on his teammate. To the inside of Honeycutt. Quick little side draft on the front stretch. Going to be able to clear. Kyle Busch drafting behind the 44. Will also try to make a move for third. Busch in the dirty air behind Chastain on the bottom. Slipped. His truck moved way up the racetrack, and Honeycutt will hold on for third, and Busch is going to lose a ton of ground back there in fourth. He's got to get his momentum up quickly, otherwise Tom Majeski might be there for the 4th place taking. First time Majeski's cracked the top 5 today. Really wasn't anywhere near the top 10 for most of stage 1. Lane Riggs lost a few spots on the restart. He fell to 7th after finishing 3rd in stage 1. Ruggiero back a couple spots from 6th to 8th. He started on the pole, was only able to lead the opening lap. Enfinger, who ran the ARCA race earlier on, hasn't yet cracked the top 10, but he's up to 11th. Brandon Jones running the Xfinity race, of course, tomorrow. Xfinity full-time this season for JGR. In the 1 for Tricon Garage, and he's been quietly in the top 10 today. He was quietly back after the top 10 most of North Wilkesboro last week and had a good finish as well. Heim couldn't pull away after making the pass on Honeycutt for the lead, and Caden's coming right back after him. Bottom of the racetrack, gets to his inside. Chastain going to try to push his teammate and help him out. He's got it. Honeycutt to the lead. A little bit of debris on the nose of that 11 might have changed the handling for him. Chastain almost into the back of the 11 car, as he didn't have a lot of room to try to clear Kyle Busch up on the high side. Might have been some contact with the 7 and the 44 as well. And after Honeycutt led that last time by at the line, it is Corey Heim who's able to clear through 1 and 2 with a crossover. Lane Riggs to 5th as he gets by Ty Majeski, quickly going after Kyle Busch for 4th in the very next turn. What a race this has been here tonight at Charlotte. Busch wide off of turn 4. He almost got against the fence. Lost a bit of ground to Chastain. Trying to get it back with a quick push from the 34, who gets his momentum back up quickly. Clean air in the nose for the 34 of Riggs. He'll complete the pass on Busch high off of turn 2. Busch going to try the crossover on the bottom of the track entering turn 3. Quick side draft, pull to the white line on the bottom. Glued to the paint on the inside of the track. And he does clear Riggs and actually quickly gets to the inside of Ross Chastain as well for third. Lane Riggs boxed in with nowhere to go behind both of these trucks. Same for Majeski. Chastain slips again on entry into turn one, and Busch is cleared for third. Riggs caught up on the high side behind Chastain, allows for Majeski to clear. Majeski's back into fifth again. Half a second lead for Heim over Honeycutt. 1.1 seconds to Kyle Busch in third. Chastain still in fourth, holding on at 1.3 seconds off the lead. And Tom Majeski, a second and a half back in fifth, rounds out the top five. Lane Riggs 2.2 seconds off the lead in sixth. Daniel Hemrick just behind him, 2.5 seconds off the lead in seventh. Chandler Smith is 3.1 seconds off the lead in eighth. Ninth for Gio Ruggiero. He's 4.2 seconds off the lead and 4.9 seconds back is Brandon Jones, rounding out the top 10. I'll get to the next Fox Sports 1 commercial break. It'll be side by side with the action on the left, the ads on the right. So we have about a dozen laps to go in stage two. Majeski trying to get by Chastain through 1 and 2. Failed pass attempt could allow for Riggs to get a run after Majeski for fifth again. Majeski with a half block down the back straightaway. He'll run the high side through 3 and 4. Riggs on the bottom. Riggs can't clear. We'll try to side draft the 98 car on the front stretch to no avail. Lap truck on the inside, so everybody's going to have to move to a wider line through 1 and 2 of the leaders. Majeski off the wall, though, in the middle. Riggs around the top. Majeski did that because Chastain was on the wall, so he's trying to get some clean air on the nose. 1.1 second lead for Heim in one stage one. He's led the most laps so far today, qualified third. And as for Corey Heim so far, he has led for 31 laps and counting. Needed 44 to get to 700 laps led on the season. Our chat poll will close at the end of stage two, which is 10 laps from now. We have 47 votes, and Ross Chastain has taken the lead in our chat poll. He was in third for a while on that chat poll, but now he's in the lead. He's got 30% of our votes tonight. 28% for Kyle Busch, 26% for Corey Heim, who has dominated so far. Busch and Chastain have been up in the top 3 or 4 the whole way. Somebody other than those three at 17%. Very close poll tonight. Again, that will close at the end of lap 60, which is the end of stage 2. We'll take a quick break here. You're listening live on KRC. Truck Series coverage continues at Charlotte. Nine laps left. Going on 8 now. At the line for Corey Heim. His lead still 1.1 seconds. Pretty even that last lap with Honeycutt. A little less than a tenth quicker. 3.2 to a 4.1. Heim versus Honeycutt. Best lap of the race looks like Corey Heim has the Xfinity fastest lap award to this point. Lap 40, Heim ran a 30.409. So about 9/10 of a second slower that last lap than his fastest of the race, which was in this stage. So wasn't many laps ago, really. 15 laps, 9/10 of a second to fall off. Tires do mean a lot here at Charlotte. Got to go back to Gio Ruggiero in 8th to find somebody who ran their fastest lap, not on this last restart. Chandler Smith in 9th as well. So the only two drivers in the top 14 to not run their fastest lap at stage 2. So maybe not going the right way with the adjustments on their trucks compared to some of the others up at the front of the field here. We'll have 5 laps left in stage 2 this time by. Still have 2 more pit stops guaranteed the rest of the way, as we'll be outside the fuel window when they pit at the end of stage 2. I'm 2.5 tenths quicker than second that last lap, and by far the quickest truck on the track.
And Ross sets that from that point.
I call that in
He's been
the,
able to go fast. Yeah, he did that in the first stage as well.
at the first stage, he was the only truck running lap times comparable to Corey Heim. So that truck's going to be solid. He just had a bad restart after the stage break. See Raja, Matt Trapton battling along.
12th and 13th position right there.
Tyler Ankrum. Looking on.
Yeah, we see Tyler Ankrum right behind him. He definitely didn't have the qualifying run that he wanted. So he's worked his way up, made a little bit of ground up through the first couple stages of this race.
Yeah, it seemed like the first run of this race, everyone's kind of inching it up to the wall in the middle of the corners. See, like, is it clean up there? Can I really push it up there? I don't want to get in the fence. Now there is so many trucks that are just smushed up against the wall, trying to get that air cushion, as we call it, that air that packs up against the side of the car and the wall and gives you more downforce. So everyone's looking for any kind of grip they can find at this point.
Yeah, and you see Tony Breidinger right behind this battle that we've been talking about with the Celsius on board. Had a little bit of trouble with that right front tire. Got into the wall on stage one.
Yeah, extended time on pit road for that pipe truck. She's currently 10 laps off the base as we zero in on Corey Heim storming toward another stage win, Kevin. Just a couple laps to go if he can hold it together.
Corey Heim is, when I look at all the controversy and all the battles and all the things that we talk, his demeanor, Mike, has just really impressed me. He can let things go. And one thing that comes with that, when you have the vehicles that run as fast as Heim does, as we watch this battle here for 12th, 13th, and 14th, it is you want to focus on the speed and you don't want any distractions.
Yeah, and you're right. He's just so mature for his age. If something goes wrong, he says, well, we just got to clean things up. I've got to be better.
3 full seasons in this very fast competitive truck when you have a lot of other drivers in the field who have had less years in their equipment and their respected rides in the truck series also right there. I mean, you look at some of the series veterans like Grant Enfinger. He's only been with the team he's had right now for the second consecutive year. And think of a guy who's a championship contender. Ty Majeski's only been at ThorSport for a few years now, but he's only been in the 98 truck for a couple seasons. Yeah, he won the championship last year, but you got a guy like Corey Heim winning a bunch of races, any kind of racetrack. Hemrick's new to the 19 team. Lane Riggs is only in his second season. A lot of other younger guys. Caruth only in his second year in the 71. Third year total in the truck. So just being in the same ride for that many years and it being a competitive ride at that, experience really paying off for Corey Heim. I'm going to sweep the stages here tonight at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. 7th and 8th stage wins of the season for the Truck Series. This is race 11. He's got 23 playoff points. He can get 5 more with a race win. Little over a second and a half gap back to Caden Honeycutt, who was second at the end of stage 2. Kyle Busch up to third, Lane Riggs fourth, and Ross Chastain rounds out the top 5. Daniel Hemrick in 6th, Ty Majeski 7th, Gio Ruggiero 8th, Chandler Smith 9th, Grant Enfinger rounds out the top 10. Yeah, Cup Oval debut for Connor Zilisch this weekend. Full 40-car field for the Cup Series on Sunday as well. We have 4 open entries for the 600. Nobody's going to be going home, but we'll see a full field for what is arguably the second biggest race, second most prestigious race on the Cup Series schedule. First race on Amazon Prime Video of their 5 for this season. They'll be carrying 5 races for every year from now through 2031 through this stretch of the season. They're not locked into the Coke 600 necessarily every year. So I almost feel that if it's a flop this year, when it comes to the viewership side of things, in a big way, I mean, I would expect it to be down from where it would be on Big Fox, especially, where it usually would be had every year since 2001 up until this season. I would imagine that they could move off of that and not start the prime schedule until after the 600 maybe in the years going forward. Could be possible. Just throwing it out there. Especially if the off week isn't as early into the year as it was this year with it being on Easter. Depends on what NASCAR does for an off week going forward. Will it be on Easter Sunday again next year? Maybe they have an extra off week. Move the schedule around. How do I feel about NASCAR on Prime? I mean, I definitely know there's a lot of NASCAR fans out there who either, aren't going to have it. They generally have an older audience, so there's going to be some fans there that, like, my grandpa doesn't have internet. He's very old school, so he's not going to be able to watch any NASCAR Cup action for the next 5 weeks. I called him a few weeks into the season. He was like, "Where?" He's like, "Where's qualifying at?" He's like, "I haven't been able to watch qualifying all year." I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's on it's on Amazon Prime." And I had to explain to him what it was. So yeah, that there's that. It would help with a newer, younger audience. I feel like if it was a bigger platform, because I don't really know how many of a younger audience would watch Amazon Prime Video compared to like other streaming platforms that are out there. Like I think I'm a big pro wrestling fan. Them going to Netflix is huge. And there's been some live sports going to Netflix for a few games a year, like the NFL's been doing some Christmas games there. And I almost think that if there was a way for NASCAR that could have landed that, I think that would have been a much better option for them. Personally, only other crossover I can think of is Thursday Night Football having Amazon Prime Video during the NFL season. So, whatever correlation you could have there for people that have Prime Video. Pit road should be open this time by. Get to listen into the pit reports. Corheim lost a spot to Caden Honeycutt. Honeycutt going to be in second this time, and he gained 3 spots to win in the race out of the pits the first time around. Caden was able to lead a couple of laps in the stage, but Corey Heim ultimately was able to lead the most and win the stage just as he did stage 1 at the start of the race. Pit road's open.
Josh?
Let's start with Lane Riggs, finished top 5 in both stages so far tonight. He said when he fired off, they were on the splitter too much during that last run, so they're going to make a couple of adjustments to help get that truck where it needs to be. Tony?
Bush is known as one of the best there is in driving a loose race truck. Tonight, truck's a little too loose for a little bit of a track bar adjustment. And guys, bad news for the rest of the field. Corey Heim is making no adjustments on the stops. Kevin?
That's good and bad. But when your truck's as fast as Corey Hines as you watch his picture finish up right here.
Again. Wow.
Yep.
Last 2 pit stops, he's lost the lead. What about the team? I think that team is just performing, aren't they?
Number 1 pit box not working out well enough for the 11 of Heim. He's beating everybody but Honeycutt, to be fair. Honeycutt's crew has just been that great on pit road so far for the 45. So Honeycutt up a spot, Heim down 1, up 1 for Chastain, Riggs, Kyle Busch down 2. He falls to 5th. Ruggiero back up 2 more positions. Raja Caruth in the top 10 for the first time. He's up 3 spots to 9th. A couple other drivers losing out on 1, but that is your movement through the top 10 following the pit stops at the end of stage 2. No cautions for incident yet today. Our only 2 yellows were the lap 30 and lap 60 stage breaks. We'll end the chat poll now. Still 47 votes. And Ross Chastain is your guys' vote to win tonight's race. That's interesting. 30%. 28% for Kyle Busch. 26% for Corey Heim. Very tight poll with those top 3. And other at 18%. And the other thing we have to get through is tonight's diecast showing. I've shown this truck off a few times already. It's because it's the only truck diecast that I have in a 124 scale. I do have some 164 scale diecasts from the truck series that I might have to show a little bit later in the year. Try not to show this one off every week, but a few times. Here's Jay Sauter in the number 3, and I think this one specifically is from 2000, I believe. I can't read it. The black underbody of this car, I cannot read what year it was made. Actually, I don't even think it says, actually. Action Racing, made in China. Nope. I don't see the year on there. It's probably on the box that the vehicle came with. I don't think it's NASCAR 2000 die cast because it doesn't have the NASCAR 2000 logo on it, so it's probably from the late 90s if I had to guess. Jay Sauter, number 3. Black Goodwrench. Finished McFarland running the ARCA race earlier. I figured, you know what? He's got the Dale truck. Good time to show the Dale truck. This is heavy, by the way. This is by far the heaviest diecast I have. I mean, this feels like maybe a 5-pound weight. Hey, I'm not even joking. If I dropped it, it would do some damage. And it would break, too. Because of how heavy it is. I mean, they can break even when they're light. Easy Network, welcome to the stream. Probably might do better, though. More NASCAR supporters, what I think. Being on Prime didn't hurt the ratings. I would say compared to Fox Sports 1, there probably wouldn't be too much of a drop-off, but you're going to see a big drop-off, particularly this weekend. Because the 600 is usually on Big Fox, and that draws 3 to 4 million people most years. That mid 3 to 4 million range, and there's not going to be. If we're looking at like an FS1 rating race, it might be in the high 1.0, maybe a 2. A 2 would be a really good number, but I don't think that they're going to get that. Their viewership this weekend's probably going to get cut in half. Kyle Larson running the double could help it a little bit too. I think had Larson not been running it, especially if he has a good run at Indy, that could probably help the ratings a bit too. But it definitely would have been even better off had the race been on Big Fox. The weird thing is we knew Larson was going to be doing the double again this year because he had that 2-year deal from last year when he did it. So NASCAR knew well in advance. Unless Prime pitched in specifically to get the Coke 600. Because if that's the case, then they're probably going to have the 600 every year during this current deal. That I don't know the details on. Like I know they get 5 races all consecutively after Fox, but is it going to be like the same set of tracks every year? I imagine one that may not change is probably the 600. All right, so we're halfway home, 67 laps complete, 67 to go. We'll have 66 laps left on the restart.
If they can get that just right, they're going to be able to push clear, maybe even get Ross clear as well, right? I mean, that would be their goal. That's a pretty strong thing to do, but
And
it can happen.
It's difficult here because you know that if you get just a little bit too much of a shove while you're going through those gears, those rear tires will buzz, and then it gets really difficult for everybody behind you. All right, here we go as we approach the Echo Park Automotive Restart Zone for the final stage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series here in Charlotte.
The nice start you talked about for that inside lane. Kate got a great jump, and Ross is right on his tracks.
And you see Corey Heim go up to defend right there. Ross Chastain was all but clear.
The top lane is going to be tough to defend on the back straightaway.
Corey Heim, wherever they are, it's just that strong. There he goes. Up the middle, 3 wide.
Well, I think Honeycutt, he lost the lead last time when Corey Heim slipped to his top and he tried to protect it. And this time, 2 trucks went by it. Ross trying to take advantage of the shirtless speed. But not able to do it. They're going to sidetrack each other down the back straightaway.
Joey, how frustrating is that? Or how hard is it just to hang right there and just like, oh, well,
Oh, wow.
They wrecked right there.
And that's what the 11 truck just visually has an advantage on. It just looks like his truck.
Oh, couple trucks around on the front stretch. Majeski's one of them. Narrowly gets missed by several trucks back in the middle of the racing line. The 38 of Chandler Smith down into the grass. The turf
I'm impressed we've gone this long without a wreck.
I was thinking the same thing.
right rear
They
down on
just
the
race
38.
so competitively in such tight quarters.
See, two pretty fast racetracks right there. Getting a fair amount of damage.
Oh. Hunter Bozak, the 81 with trouble as well.
Yeah, that looks like the rear end's falling out of that.
That thing.
Damage on the back of his truck. That truck will be done for the night. Ty Majeski might be able to put some tires on this truck and make some laps, but that'll take him out of contention of winning this race. Let's go back and look and see what happened right here.
Here. I think that maybe got a little bit loose and dug into Chandler Smith. Look at the truck in the middle there. See that?
Yeah.
Looks like it got loose, straightened up, and then on the right.
And he just got like tank slapping.
Yeah.
Like the back of the truck's catching it, cycling. You're whipping so much trying to keep up with it.
I think that was Gio.
See right front tire down. All the sparks flying out of the back of that 98 truck.
And Majeski and Chandler, they're nowhere to go. Nothing. They're just there and get the contact.
I don't know which one of you said it, but I couldn't agree more. I can't believe it took this long. We've seen trucks sideways loose. That time one got away from them.
And so easy to do off of turn 4 as that banking rolls off into the flat in the middle. That truck just has less downforce on it. Let's hear what Ty Majeski had to say on his radio.
Yeah, Ty's had one of those years, and they're coming off the championship, and they've had speed at most every racetrack they've gone to, and it seems like something has happened at some point. Like, and it usually it's been that right front fender. From about every race I've been up here in the booth, it's got a little dent in the right front. Something happens, somebody runs into it, and this time obviously a little bigger damage.
Well, you saw Chandler Smith head to the garage. But as we look at this one more time, chaos here at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Under caution for the third time today. First time for incident. Took till stage 3 with about 63 laps to go. A few laps after the restart to begin this final stage. Contact with Gio Ruggiero. 3 wide middle. Kind of hooked the 98 of Majeski down into the 38 of Chandler Smith. These were really the only 2 trucks that had significant damage following the incident. 1.4 seconds under caution for Corey Heim leading the way. Ross Chastain in second at the time of the yellow. Hayden Honeycutt in third. Kyle Busch, Lane Riggs, top 5. 6th through 10th would run Daniel Hemrick, Raja Caruth, Grant Enfinger, Gio Ruggiero, and Ben Rhodes. Matt Mills, Brandon Jones, 11th, 12th for this next restart. Live commentary coverage continues on KRC at Charlotte Motor Speedway for the North Carolina Education Lottery 200. "36 likes on the stream. We're 14 away from our goal of 50. Be sure to hit the like button if you haven't done so yet. Subscribe for more NASCAR content and live NASCAR commentary streams like this every NASCAR race weekend. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, though, for this stream here tonight. For those that might have stuck around from the ARCA race earlier today and or returning viewers to the channel, watching some good NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series action this evening. Seen quite a few great moments. Just great racing, really, all the way around. It's what it boils down to. Short run, long run, a lot of slingshots, back and forth. Slipping and sliding. We'll see more of that throughout the weekend. Xfinity Series race tomorrow should be a good one. Coke 600 the last few years has been really good with this next gen car, as they are for most mile-and-a-half tracks. I don't think that that's going to be the last caution of the race. They are getting close to the edge of the fuel window. Interested to see if anybody comes down to top off at the front of the field. They only have a few laps on their tires. A lot of these teams only get one more set of tires left the rest of the way. You don't really want to burn them up now, but I can see there's definitely going to be a lot of drivers in the back half of the field that are going to be pitting for fuel only. At the very least here. You got 26 trucks on the lead lap. Chandler Smith did pull into the garage area, so he will likely be done for the day. Tony Breidinger at the end of stage one had that right front tire failure. She's still on track, but 10 laps down, so this might result in a last place finish, 34th for Chandler Smith, who came into the race second in points, 47 back of Heim, who has already won the first two stages and currently has the fastest lap. Looking for a 61-point max points day if he can get the race win and still hold on to that fastest lap award. Haven't gotten the one to go. Well, they might have got one to go that time. Nope, not yet. I was going to say, otherwise that would have meant that Corey Heim will be on the inside. The race starts. Still good. We'll see what lane he elects. I feel like the top and bottom have been pretty even for the most part. Really depends on how good the truck behind gives you a push after you get the launch through the restart zone. It seems like there's been better pushes down on the bottom, shorter distance around the front stretch before getting to turn one. But if you can't clear high up off turn two, it's going to be tough to hold on the longer and longer you stay side by side. Momentum from the high side, the 24 degrees of banking at Charlotte. Down the relatively flat straightaways, especially off of turn two. Well, a lot of three wide and three wide gone wrong on the last restart. We'll see how these truckers are going to settle in. Should be getting the one to go this time by. Just over an hour into this race from the very start. Quick race pace up until this caution. We, again, didn't have a caution for incident before that. Through the first half of the race, just the two stage yellows. But the punch up from this restart could have definitely caused something like that to happen as it did. Heim does elect the inside. Both of the Nice Motorsports Chevrolets will go to the top in row one, row two. Chastain, then Honeycutt behind him. Kyle Busch will be inside of row two behind Corey Heim. Hemrick Riggs in row three. Hemrick on the bottom and Riggs up on the outside. Heim did eclipse the 44 laps led, by the way, to get to 700 on the season. He's at 56 and counting. Out in front, still under the yellow. It'll be 57 at the start-finish line when they get up to speed if he gets the launch through the restart zone. We've had 9 lead changes so far through our 3 yellows. 19 laps have been ran under caution. This yellow flag ranging about 6 laps to the time we go green. Cleanup is done. The pace car will be taking the big left-hand turn off of turn number 4. The leaders are getting ready to launch in the restart zone. I'm looking to hold on to it. Veteran Kyle Busch right behind him. Most winningest truck driver in the history of the Truck Series in NASCAR. Good launch for Heim. Good push for Honeycutt to the back of Chastain on the outside. Now Busch is going to be pushing Corey into the first turn. Heim's going to come out with the lead, side by side for second, almost 4 wide for third. Big block by Honeycutt on Carruth to the outside. Lane Riggs going to slip into the middle lane with Daniel Hemrick down low. Busch bottlenecking up that outside line with Chastain, who slid up in front of him off turn 2. Busch trying to hold on for third with Lane Riggs to the inside through 3 and 4 as they get the speed off the exit of the corner. Ben Rhodes brushes the wall out around the 10th spot. On the high side off turn 4. Busch just a little bit too far wide. Lane Riggs is going to be cleared for third on Busch through 1 and 2. And fastly approaching the leader right now is Chastain, who's had great short run speed all night. And looking for that next short run burst to get back by the 11. Honeycutt to the inside of Busch for fourth through 3 and 4. Chastain a little bit wider through 3 and 4 up along the wall versus more of the middle lane ran by the leader of Corey Heim. Carruth battles Enfinger for 7th. Both those two have done a great job just slowly working their way through the field tonight as this race moves on further and further. As do they upwards through the pack. Enfinger, those extra laps in the ARCA race could be helping him out a bit as well. Been on track all day today between ARCA practice qualifying, then hopped into a truck for practice and qualifying, then hopped into an ARCA car for the race, now back into truck for the race. He's just been behind the vehicle all day long. One or the other. Rhodes remains in ninth after scraping the wall off turn 4. I didn't notice any tire rub on the right side of his race car following the contact with the walls, so he still remains at speed. We stay green. And no issues for the 99 to record yet. 53 laps to go as we work lap 82. Corey Heim is about 2/10 ahead of Chastain. Lane Riggs charging hard for second through 1 and 2. He came from a ways back, but he is clear. What a move. And the sophomore Truck Series driver Lane Riggs is up to second. He runs the high side through 3 and 4, and he's looking for a run at the lead on Corey Heim. That 34 truck has come to life, and you wonder if they made some massive adjustments to get him better for the short run rather than the long run side of things. Seen Riggs have a good long run truck tonight, but we haven't seen him this go to the short run since that last lap. He was 3/10 quicker than our race leader, Corey Heim. And he's only about 3 truck lengths off the lead down the backstretch into 3 and 4. Both trucks to the bottom of the racetrack. Riggs looked like he was pushing a little bit tight off the exit of the corner. Speaking of pushing tight, Kyle Busch brushing the wall off turn 4, but kept his foot in it, keeps the momentum up, and he still gets by Ross Chastain into turn 1 for third. Oh, might have did not cut Ross Chastain a break there. There looked like there was some contact. Busch was squeezing the 44, forced him to either lift or get against the wall. Chastain lifted. It was a Chastain move that Kyle Busch pulled off, and Kyle probably going to do that only to Chastain, and did just that. Busch is only 9/10 of a second off our leader in third. He's pretty much had the third or fourth quickest truck all night, especially in the long runs, and here he is again in third, 50 laps to go. Never know, get himself into this position. We got one more pit stop left to go in this race. When is it going to be? Is it going to be under green, or is it going to be under a caution that might come later on? Chastain now has to fend off his teammate, Hayden Honeycutt, for fourth. Hayden got to the inside off turn 4. Couldn't stay side by side on the entry into 1. Through the middle of the corner, he gets back underneath the 44, though. And by the exit of turn 2, they're side by side. Now he'll side draft him on the back straightaway. get a bigger pull to the inside and try to clear through 3 and 4. See a slide up the racetrack. Lap truck got in the way of Honeycutt. Cody Dennison in the 2 was down on the bottom. Honeycutt's line got taken away, and he actually lifted quite a bit to keep it off of the lapper. Didn't have a lot of room to run into the middle with Chastain up there, and goes from side by side from 4th to all of a sudden about 5 to 6 truck lengths back. And it's probably going to take him a minute to try to get back to Chastain, even if he can get there. Top 10 with 48 laps to go as Corey Heim in the lead, Lane Riggs in 2nd, Kyle Busch 3rd, Ross Chastain 4th, Caden Honeycutt in 5th, Daniel Hemrick 6th, Grant Enfinger 7th, Raja Caruthan 8th, Brandon Jones 9th, Matt Mills 10th. Here's Chandler Smith outside the infield care center.
He had nowhere to go, just crappy deal. I felt like our number 38 Quickside Products Ford F-150 is a brand new truck, our first in-house truck that we built at Front Row Motorsports. Everybody was excited, home race, 5 guys were on everything. So we were really practice through the kitchen sink at it, and I fired off the rinse like, hey, we're actually pretty good now. We got to go back on that. And so I just felt like we were going to be being pretty solid for midnight.
Well, Chandler's had a tough time on the 1.5 miles. So obviously,
Ben Rhodes did have an issue after getting against the wall a couple laps into the restart. It looks like he was down on pit road. Problems arise for the 99. Definitely see the damage along the right side of the race truck as he was exiting pit road on the FS1 cameras. I'd imagine he probably had a tire rub and finally felt like he had a tire going down. It took quite a ways into the run after contact with the wall, about a dozen laps or so. Riggs is still in 2nd, but he's losing time to our race leader. That last lap of 31.0 to a 32.0. I don't know what happened to Riggs, but he lost a lot of ground. He was a second slower than the leader that last lap. Where Heim was 2/10 quicker than any other truck on the track that last time by. Chastain 31.269 had the second fastest lap. Right front tire was the tire, by the way, that was cut flat on the 99 following the damage from the restart. We do stay green, no debris on the racetrack. Leaders open up to now 1.9 seconds as Corey Heim puts a beating on the field again on this longer green flag run now in stage 3. Caden Honeycutt makes a pass for 4th on Ross Chastain. Chastain gets him back, it looks like, so Ross still 2.8 seconds off the lead at 4th. Kyle Busch only about 0.3 of a second ahead of these two. It's really a 3-truck battle for 3rd between Busch, Chastain, and Honeycutt. Caden's had this kind of speed on 1.5 tracks this season, but he's gotten into an incident on a few occasions. Really needs to put this together, get a good run under his belt. Also, not a good night for Ben Rhodes to have this issue. Again, he came into this race just below Stuart Friesen for that final playoff spot on points. The gap was only 6 between the 52 and 99. And neither one of those two really had many stage points. Stuart Friesen here tonight is 15th, definitely having an off night, but Ben Rhodes even more so now following the flat right front tire. Rhodes definitely fell off the lead lap. And Ben is first truck a lap down in 26th. 11 spots. Definitely widen the gap out between 10th and 11th in the standings. Busch starting to run down Lane Riggs again as they go to commercial break. He's less than a half a second behind the second place truck. Full screen commercial break on Fox Sports 1. We'll continue live. The Craftsman Truck Series at Charlotte, as we have about 40 laps to go. Diamond Riggs meet yet again, yep. I'll tell you what, we get another short run. Following the post-race interview from Lane Riggs after the North Wilkesboro deal last week, I would imagine that it doesn't matter who he's racing with, he's just going to be pushing him full head of steam away. I don't think he's going to deliberately dump anybody per se, but although he did dump Corey Heim last week, it wasn't intentional. He didn't just go into the corner and ship him. I don't think he'll do anything like that, or at least I'd like to think so. But he'll definitely be willing to crowd somebody up against the fence. Try a slide job, and whether he's clear or not, he's moving up. Maybe one of those deals. That was a week ago. Week before that at Kansas. Failed slide job trying to battle Chastain for the win there also. All right, again, our light goal is 50 for this live commentary stream. Refresh our page, see where we're at. It looks like we're at 39 right now, so we're 11 shy. Be sure to hit the like button if you haven't done so yet. Getting closer. Closer to the finish line. 4 live commentary streams still to go this weekend. Doubleheader tomorrow beginning at 1:30 p.m. Eastern with our NASCAR Cup Series practice and qualifying for this Sunday's Coca-Cola 600. That will be on Amazon Prime Video and live right here on the channel. Xfinity Series racing will be at 4:30 p.m. Eastern later on in the afternoon. And our doubleheader with the Indy 500 and Coke 600 on Sunday. Indy 500 will begin at 12:30 p.m. Eastern with our coverage. And at 5:30 p.m. Eastern with the Coca-Cola 600 pre-race show, followed by the 600 itself. 35 laps to go as they come back from commercial on Fox Sports 1. Heim's lead is 4.3 seconds over Kyle Busch, who took over second place during the commercial break. Chastain will get to third, and Lane Riggs has now fallen since to fourth. Caden Honeycutt rounds out the top 5 in fifth. Still decent ways to go. Lap 100 of 134. Riggs definitely fired off well in the short run, and he's given up more so in the long run than what he was in the earlier 2 stages. Tim Brown and Chad saying hit the leg, stay green. We'll see if it stays green. 5-second lead, though. Heim's definitely running away with it. Kyle Busch, I don't think has anything for him. But Busch being in second. Gets a caution. He's right there. We should have pit stops. Heim's lost the lead on 2 pit stops already. Fell from first to second both times. So it could happen a third. I wouldn't deny it. Chastain's looking like he's starting to run Kyle Busch back down for second as well. That battle definitely isn't done yet.
Chastain and Corey Heim has put about 4 seconds on him.
He's checked out.
5.
Heck, let's make it 5, Joey.
Yeah. Pretty impressive what that truck's able to do. Oh, look at Kyle, a big loose moment there.
And he's right on the verge of disaster up there. He's the one pushing that groove on both ends of the racetrack right up against the fence. All the way in the top lane through 3 and 4. You know that can be challenging with the way that those bumps are on the entry to the corner. Has to fade down a little bit on the exit, but
Wow.
big run off the corner.
As I was wondering what Kyle was going to do there. He's able to get such a big run. He's able to clear Ross before he gets back in the corner and find his lane again back up top. So, yeah, these trucks are pretty equally matched. If anything, I'd say Ross might be a little bit faster, but just not able to get in front of Kyle.
Be interesting to see who can do the best job. And this is another example of when you got to keep it clean.
Here it comes right here.
Lane Riggs is coming to pit road. We cannot make a mistake here and speed on pit road.
Yeah. Josh?
For the 34 of Lane Riggs, they've been trying to get that truck dialed in right. He said it was too free during that last run. Too much air in the right rear, so they're going to try and make an adjustment to help him out along with those tires.
Well, this is the start of that strategy. As you see, Caden Honeycutt on pit road as well, trying to short pit to make up some ground on the guys that they were racing around.
Corey Heim comes in already.
Wow.
I'm surprised. I thought he would stay out there with the 5-second lead, that it would take maybe 5 or 6 laps before he decided to pit. pulls the trigger pretty early here.
There's 30 laps to go, Todd, as Corey Heim comes to you.
Yeah, Michael, you know, as race car drivers, it's not often we get a perfect race truck, right? Again, Corey Heim has asked for no adjustments. He is in love with this truck. He says it's on a rail.
Well, he's definitely looked like he's on a rail. And I'm with you, Joey. I'm surprised that he didn't wait for a couple laps just to let this cycle. He had such a big lead. And a lot of times, when you have that big lead, it gives you the opportunity to make sure that most of the guys that you're racing and the caution doesn't come out during that time frame.
Yeah, you said it. If the caution comes out right now, you look at where Corey Heim is. You know, Roger Carruth's going to come out and say, "Hey, great, thanks everybody. I'm going to be a lap ahead of everybody." You know, most of them are down a lap. You see Lane Riggs back there in 18th. He's down a lap. But the caution
Yeah,
comes
I'm
out.
still on the lead
All
laps.
those trucks that are still on the lead lap are going to be back in front of him.
What do you got down there, Todd?
Yeah, you guys are exactly right. Why did not Scott Zipadelli run Corey Heim a little longer? Well, when he saw those guys starting to pit, Lane Riggs coming down pit road, the 7 coming down pit road, he felt like he just wanted to stay with his competition. They got that good a truck and said, let's not beat ourselves. Let's just do what they're doing and beat them on the racetrack.
And maybe that's the other piece of it, Kevin, is that if they have a bad pit stop, they have 5 seconds to spare. Just pitch the same time as them. We can have a 3-second slower pit stop. We're still going to be 2 seconds ahead of them when we come off pit road.
I always like to have the advantage of the tires too. I feel like when you wait a couple laps and you're able to stay on the racetrack, lose a second or two of your gap, but you have 2 or 3 laps, better tires. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you. And you lessen your risk if the caution comes out. Like right now, those guys are all still. I mean, Heim's the only one that's on the lead lap.
Right.
But obviously, a lot of them, Mozak, Chastain, Riggs, all those guys are trying to fight to get back on the lead lap.
And then you've got the other side of the strategy right here for the 71 truck and Raja. You want to wait as long as you can and hope that the caution comes out at some point, and then you get that tire advantage and you get the lucky caution flag. So, got to roll the dice every once in a while.
This is one of those situations where you've made your bed, Roger has. Now he's going to have to lay in it for a little while.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we're going to take a short break. You won't miss a thing with Fox side by side.
Well, Carruth leads 25 laps to go here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. 9.6 second difference between first and second on the racetrack between Carruth and Friesen. BJ McLeod in third right now as he hasn't hit pit road yet. Same for Timmy Hill in fourth and Jack Wood in fifth. They're definitely going to try to run this out as far as they can. Matt Crafton is sixth, Gio Ruggiero in seventh, Stephen Parsons eighth, and Corey Heim in ninth is the first off of pit road of those that had pitted already during green. Spencer Boyd in 10th, then Ross Chastain, Lane Riggs 11th, 12th. Hayden Honeycutt first truck a lap down. He is already pitted in 13th. Kyle Busch lost a couple spots during green flag pit stops. He was in second, but Chastain, Riggs, and Honeycutt all got by the 7, so Busch and that Spire team might have had a slow stop. Connor Mosack is in 15th behind Busch in 14th, and then 16th is Grant Enfinger, Daniel Hemrick 17th, Matt Mills 18th, Brandon Jones 19th, and Jake Garcia is in 20th, Tyler Ankrum 21st, Andres Perez 22nd, Ben Rhodes 23rd, Luke Fenhouse 24th, and Parker Kligerman 25th. Tanner Gray 26th, Dawson Sutton 27th, Cody Dennison 28th, Frankie Muniz 29th, and Mason Maggio 30th. Tony Breidinger 31st, Ty Majeski 32nd, Justin Carroll in 33rd, and Chandler Smith 34th. 3 trucks out of the race so far. 3 cautions, 1 for incident. Only 1 was early in stage 3. 11 lead changes so far as we have about 21 laps to go. Again, Roger Carruth is the race leader and trying to hang on to things up until what could be a caution at some point in time. And if we catch that caution, he's going to have fresher tires than Corey Heim, who will end up on the lead side of things. Chastain, Riggs, Honeycutt have all unlapped themselves. Kyle Busch about to do the same.
He's not going to win the race with the speed he had, and if it just stayed going where it was going. So do something different. And maybe the cautions fall your way and you're able to manufacture something out of a chance to win possibly. So you just don't know.
Significantly better tires if the caution were to fly. Sure.
And you just never know. And sometimes you just, like you guys say, you got to roll the dice, and hope is your best strategy.
Because right now, if the caution comes out, you got to ask: is I'm going to hit again?
That's right. And I'm curious about that because we've seen some mistakes.
As the leader crossed the line right there, we've reached our Craftsman 20 to go.
I think it's this time for Raja coming to pit road down low off turn 2, making sure people know he's coming.
Yep, you said it. There he is on the binders.
And not something that you see all that smoke out of that left front tire as he locks it up coming onto pit road. Not something that these truck guys do often in green flag pit stops. So this is really good practice for that exact situation right there, understanding how to get on pit road, not slide the tire, but maximize everything you need to do.
Well, and also we've had a clean pit road so far through these green flag pit stops. It's really remarkable. These guys were able to get on and off pit road as fast as they do and not make a mistake.
See the right side tires on, go to the lefts. Looks like another clean pit stop, and off Raja goes back into action.
Lights those tires up and gets out of there.
Yeah, you got to get that RPM up. You don't want to stall it.
Looks good.
See Stuart Friesen in the 52 truck right there. Saw his trouble in qualifying today. Had an electrical problem. Also stayed out to roll the dice right here.
Gonna give the lead back to Corey Heim. As the green flag pit stops nearly.
Right side's only
Two
Friesen.
tires on that truck.
Yeah, interesting call there with only 18 laps to go.
I think they're trying to keep him on the lead lap. I don't know if it's going to work.
This is going to give our lead back to Corey Heim, like Michael said. And when you look at the lap times that Corey Heim is putting up right now, doing what he's done all night. It's been a clean night.
So 17 laps to go. Corey Heim cycles through the green flag pit stops as the leader again. Timmy Hill has yet to hit pit road. Same for Jack Wood and Matt Crafton up in the top 5. Giro is in 6. I don't know if he's pit or not. Let me look. I don't think he's pit because he's gained 20 positions on the restart. I don't think he has passed that many trucks outright. So I believe Ruggiero also has to hit pit road. He might have topped off on fuel during the most recent caution to try to stretch it, but 50 to 55 laps. And he'd have to go 58 green to the end, not counting the caution laps he would have ran before that. That'll be kind of tough. Which is why we've seen as many drivers pit as they have to this point in the run. About another lap, Chastain's going to get his way to second on Timmy Hill. And Caden Honeycutt should get up into the top 3 here at some point sometime soon as well, as he just passed Crafton for 5th. Should get by Jack Wood for 4th this lap. Chastain blows by Timmy Hill for 2nd now on the outside off of turn 2. Chastain's about 5.6 seconds behind our race leader, Corey Heim. We haven't seen many cautions on 1.5-mile tracks outside of Texas Motor Speedway in the Truck Series these last couple of years, up until Kansas a couple weeks ago. But here tonight at Charlotte, just 1 yellow for incident. It's been a relatively clean race, a good one at that. We've seen a lot of crossovers, a lot of great racing throughout. Stage 3 has just been the Corey Heim Clinic, and I'm trying to make it Heim time yet again. Late race restarts have bit him in a few races so far this season in which he's dominated like this, so it's just a matter of will it stay green to the end or not, because if it does, he's got it won. Chastain's been running a little bit quicker than him on an inconsistent basis. The lead's down to 5.7 seconds. It was about 6.2, but with only 13 laps to go, I think that's more Heim just managing his lead, managing his tires in case he has to stay out during the next pit stop. There's no real need for him to have to push and continue to extend his lead in lap trucks, because that's not going to necessarily win him the race at this point under any circumstance. 17 trucks are on the lead lap. Tyler Ankrum, the last of which, Friesen, after taking the right sides, only staying out of the pits as long as he did, is a lap down at 18th. Position-wise, he could gain some spots still with a few that still have to pit for 4 tires. If they go splash and go, maybe they could cycle still in the lead lap. But considering Corey Heim is already more than 11 seconds ahead of all those guys, I don't think they can go splash and go and still stay on the lead lap. Matt Crafton's finally on the pit road, so he drops out of the top 10. Wood and Hill are still up there with about a dozen laps to go in the top 10 for the moment. The rate Corey Heim is going right now, I would imagine he'll lap inside the top 15 once the green flag pit sequence is all finished. Hayden Honeycutt getting by Gio Ruggiero for a spot. Sorry, that's Matt Mills, the other Nice truck, the 42, not the 45. Emmerich up the middle, 3 wide. Lap car Mosak on the bottom had damage from that lone incident earlier. Gio Ruggiero, the high side older tires, falls out of the top 10 to 11. He's just outside the top 10 in points coming into the day, so he's probably trying to beat Stuart Friesen, and it's basically points racing. He's outscored him in the stages total. Now trying to outscore him in the race. Friesen 17th, Ruggiero 12th. Friesen a lap down. Obviously, Ruggiero on the lead lap, but if this race finishes under green, I don't know that Ruggiero on those older tires is going to be able to hold on to his lap. He's probably going to lose at least a few more positions. Ruth Garcia Parsons within a few seconds of him, 13th, 14th, and 15th. Just under a 6.5 second lead still for Corey Heim.
Stays green. I'm going to get the victory.
Well, Heim's had a lot of problems this year. As we go back and look at all these scenarios that he's gone through, you look back at Miami, loses power, had the dominant truck there. Go to Martinsville, blown tire from the lead. Go to Rockingham, just bad pit strategy. Wound up put himself in a bad position. Kansas, broken pit gun and a restart violation. See him right there. Pull him out of line too soon.
Oh.
And then last week, spun out on the final lap by Lane Riggs, dominated that race. And you know right now, obviously you see him frustrated. Right now he's thinking to himself, what in the world? Please.
Like I said, he's thinking to himself, no caution.
No caution.
Let's run these 7 laps and let me get that beautiful ceremony in Victory Lane here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, one of the coolest tracks in all of NASCAR.
And he's got one of the most interesting streaks on these 1.5 miles going. He's won every other race for like the last 2 years, it seems. And this is his time.
He's up.
Time.
He's due.
It seems like he's due on the 1.5 racetrack.
Oh, it's just wild to think that those 5 races you just pointed out, Ken. He was the fastest truck in every single one. In
For the most
position
part.
to win late in the race, every single one of those. How many wins if just one of those things doesn't happen? How many wins he can really stack up this year?
The only race that he ran this year outside of a super speedway that I didn't feel he had the outright fastest truck was Bristol when Chandler Smith won. And Chandler Smith beat Corey Heim, who I think finished second that night. Heim was quick, but Smith was a little bit better. Outside of that, you could argue that Corey Heim has had the fastest truck pretty much every race this year. They didn't even mention the Homestead race where he was leading late and the truck shut off on him, and that's how Larson was able to gain enough time to catch him, because Larson was quick on that final run, but he was from so far back. Heim's truck didn't shut off. I don't think he was going to get there with it staying green all the way to the finish. Speaking of staying green all the way to the finish, that's what Corey Heim is hoping for here. 74 career starts for Corey Heim. 14 wins, looking for 15. Here today in number 75, Kyle Busch had 18 wins in 74 truck starts. Corey Heim just stays a truck lifer. He'll end up catching Kyle Busch before the age of 30 at the rate he's going at. I would imagine the Cup Series will be in this kid's future sometime soon, you would hope. Finished 13th actually a couple of weeks ago at Kansas in his first Cup start of the season. It was his 4th of his career. Sure, we'll see him in the Cup Series at least a couple more times before this season's up as well on a part-time effort. 2 laps to go this time by. He's just trying to get to the white flag. Timmy Hill and Parsons had finally hit pit road. It lasted quite a ways. It leaves 13 trucks, on the lead lap. Jack Wood going to lose his lap now. Wood might be out of fuel. He was very slow on the front stretch. We got 2 laps to go. Is he going to be able to make it back around? He was very slow, and I don't think he had hit pit road yet. Parsons and Hill tried to go as long as they could, but that is the only thing that you could be worried about here if you're Corey Heim for a potential caution, but I do believe he's going to at least get to the white. And he does. 1 lap to go. 12 trucks in the lead lap. He's not going to catch Ankrum, who's the last car in the lead lap right now. He's a few seconds ahead of him still. I'm 6-second lead. He's coasting it. No need to push. Crafton falls another lap down. No more lap trucks in the windshield, and Corey Heim is going to win his 4th truck race of the season in what is just the 11th race of the season. Domination again for Corey. Leads the most laps. He wins both stages. Max points day because he also got the Xfinity Fastest Lap Award, 30.409 back on lap 40. Fastest lap of the day. Nobody ever topped it. And he captures the checkered flag once again. 6.2 second margin of victory for Heim. We finish under our regulation length of 134 laps and 200 miles. 1 hour, 33 minutes, and 38 seconds total time on this one. 3 cautions, only 1 for incident. It was in stage 3. Right at about 64 laps to go in the race. We go green, 58 laps to the checker. Longest green flag run of the night. 14 lead changes. 20 laps ran under the yellow. And again, 12 trucks finished on the lead lap. On top of the 61-point max points day for Corey Heim, he also led 98 laps, which means he needs 46 laps led next week to get above 800 on the season. And the Truck Series next weekend will be running at Gateway. Ross Chastain finishes in 2nd, Caden Honeycutt 3rd, Lane Riggs 4th, Kyle Busch rounds out the top 5. Grant Enfinger in 6th, Matt Mills 7th, Daniel Hemrick 8th, Roger Kruk 9th, and Brandon Jones finishes out the top 10. Jake Garcia in 11th, Tyler Ankrum last truck in the lead lap in 12th, Stuart Friesen first truck a lap down in 13th, and Parker Kligerman 14th, BJ McLeod 15th, Andres Perez 16th, Ben Rhodes in 17th, Luke Fenhouse 18th, Timmy Hill 19th, and 20th for Matt Crafton 2 laps down. Giro Ruggiero 21st, Stephen Parsons 22nd, Connor Mosack 23rd, Spencer Boyd 24th, and Jack Wood 25th. Tanner Gray 26th, Frankie Muniz 27th, Mason Maggio 28th, Cody Dennison 29th, and Tony Breidinger 30th. 4 trucks DNF tonight, Dawson Sutton 31st, Ty Majeski 32nd, Justin Carroll 33rd, and Chandler Smith 34th. Here's your race winner, Corey Heim, with his front stretch interview following his 4th win of the 2025 season.
And they all raced each other really good, and there was good side-by-side action, good strategy there. And yeah, the best truck won the race, no doubt.
No doubt. He said it should have been Heim time about 10 times this year, but 4's good. You could think of 4 or 5 others he could have won. That's
He can still get to 10.
incredible, really, what he's done.
Well, I believe we're 11 races into the season, so 4 of 11, that's not a bad average. That'd even be great. That'd even be great in baseball. Todd?
Corey Heim kicking butt and taking names and dominating this race. Led a high of 98 laps out of the 134. My friend, what is it like to go out there and dominate a race like this?
Honestly, just nice to be far enough away where someone can clean me out, to be honest with you. But no, just super thankful for Truck on Garage, Toyota Safe Flight. This thing was obviously really good. I felt like we've had the speed the last couple of years here, just circumstantially haven't been able to get it done. So obviously just such a good truck, had to execute. On my part, Picker did a great job. Just a really nice clean day. Pumped up about this one. Felt like we gave a couple away the last 2 weeks, but redeemed ourselves tonight.
We were in the trailer earlier before practice, and we were talking about you guys inventing ways to give these races away and everything that could happen. Tonight, it went perfect. What is it like to drive for a race team like this and a crew chief like Scott Zipadelli?
It's a special feeling. I mean, I think everyone can tell how good this truck is, man, and it's a pleasure to drive it. I feel like we once again just have been in so many good positions this year to execute and win, but just circumstantially, just one way or another, like you said, we found a way to give it up. But tonight they didn't have an opportunity, and we just executed really well, stayed out front all night, and that's all she wrote.
Great job. Corey Howing laying down a hammer at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
That's all she
Well,
wrote. to
Tom,
say.
Ross Chastain comes home second in tonight's race. And Ross, you guys fired off really well. It just felt like you just didn't have enough in the long run to track down the 11. How do you evaluate the night?
Best in class for sure, Josh. That's heck of an effort for Nice Motorsports across the board for 3 in the top 7. Caden right there on my back bumper. That's what we look for. We look for competition across all 3 trucks. For Al, and Al's super happy to get a ton of points and just have fast trucks. So for Matt, great run for their JF Electric Chevy. But for us, Spectrum Mellon Chevy, it's best in class. I mean, the 11 with Corey and Scott, they're the best in the field right now, and none of us had anything for them. But the 7, the 38, 34, we're all racing amongst each other. Heck of a race back there, but with us, I can hold on for a few laps. But yeah, you're right. We've got to make it last longer.
Appreciate it, Ross. Best in class for the 44 in Nice Motorsports.
Well, we will be back to wrap things up here at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
All right, that's going to finish out tonight's live commentary doubleheader with the ARCA race earlier this evening, the Craftsman Truck Series race here tonight, all at Charlotte Motor Speedway. All Charlotte Motor Speedway action tomorrow will continue live at 1:30 p.m. Eastern with our next live stream. About, 15 hours from now? Cup Series practice and qualifying will be taking shape there. NASCAR Xfinity Series race coverage will be soon after that, 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Again, that will be our double tomorrow. Then we do the big double on Sunday, the Indianapolis 500 and the Coca-Cola 600. Indy 500 start time at 12:30 p.m., 5:30 for the Cup race, all Eastern times. And again, you can look at the community tab on the scheduling for that for the rest of the weekend as well. Thank you for those of you that might have watched only this race or both races today on the channel. See you tomorrow for more NASCAR action. See you Sunday as well. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good rest of your Friday night.